All right, bruh fans, the show is back and I'm here to review all 3 episodes. I thought about just doing them all in one video, but I said, nah, y'all wouldn't go for that. Even though I still would be as in depth as always, but why break tradition? Each episode gets one video. Gonna be honest here. This was my least favorite of the three. I've been through a lot over the past few days. People who did not like my opinions on the Danny situation. Honestly, really on Twitter, that was it. But in terms of YouTube, the Facebook group, honestly, I haven't really posted about it on Instagram. I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But basically, yeah, there are people who just cannot stand my stance on the domestic violence situation in that series. And my thoughts that Danny went too far with killing Jonah. Not to say he was a good guy. He was literally just scum in general. But that sisters, bunch of videos done on that. Make sure you check those out. I think that this episode, in my opinion, it did a very horrible job with handling physical assault. I mean, domestic violence, the correct terminology, basically a man putting his hands on a woman, because Dena, this was just awful. This took the conversation, not a debate, I mean a conversation about whether it's right or wrong to a man to put hands on a woman, and just it butchered it. The line that, trust me, the first scene pissed me off. But later on, when they're at the hospital and Greg is apologizing to Dena, the part that got me was this. Dena straight up said, "You know I can ruin your life, right? But I'm not going to." Even though she recognizes that I drank too much, I hit you first, but that's no excuse to put your hands on me, despite the fact that she shoved him and hit him a good amount of times in episode 11 prior to him slapping her. And look, there are those who disagree with me. That's completely fine. What I'm not trying to do is advocate for men to put hands on women. But I think this episode did a poor job going over scenarios where a guy is a victim, or at least the first one who is hit. This episode painted Greg. This is one of the few times I'm actually vouching for Greg, believe it or not. This episode did not do a good job with handling that situation. And I'll get into that more, but I'll talk about the other stuff first, because most of what I have to say has to do with the Greg, Dena, Darla, and Tom stuff. Alright, so one of the storylines is Lydia popping up at the sandwich shop to talk with John, and who obviously wants nothing to do with her. But, he does recognize that he and his mother were wrong about Lydia not being the one to break into their apartment and mess it up. And it was Blinky, one of the guys that, his mom sleeps with. And, he's pushed into saying sorry for falsely accusing her. And she wants to apologize to Miss Alice for hitting her, and to also get an apology out of her for being falsely accused. And she decides that she's going to sit and wait for Miss Alice, even though John warns her multiple times not to do it. And she wants a sandwich. So, at the end of the episode, John is again warning Lydia to leave, but Miss Alice shows up and she's pissed off because somebody is in her parking spot. Not gonna lie, this is a great way to reintroduce Alice, because this scene just fit her well. It's like she's going to be loud. She's going to state her grievances. She don't give a damn if it's a restaurant full of people. Somebody was in her damn spot. Now, at first, I thought it was Lydia. I'm like, Lord, I hope it ain't her. But she did mention there was a car parked there, and we know that Lydia drives a motorcycle. But in any case, she and Miss Alice quickly just talk. And, sorries are exchanged, and then she decides to say sorry for knocking you the hell out. And then, of course, Miss Alice took it the wrong way. "You sucker punch me." "No, I knocked you out," which causes another argument. And Miss Alice goes to put her bag down, and John says, hey, you need to get up out of here. But Lydia doesn't listen. And next thing you know, she got a shotgun and Lydia goes out there screaming. So that was actually a pretty funny way to end the episode. And maybe I should just say up front, this episode gets a 2 out of 10. Miss Alice, the sandwich shop saved the show. But everything else in relation to the Dena stuff and whatnot, that's what really brought the episode down for me. I feel like this, and this is just, oh gosh. I think that even those people who say there's absolutely no reason for a man to hit a woman, I think even people who think that way versus those who say there's a difference between abuse and self-defense and look at the entire scenario of what went down, I think we could all agree that the way it was written for Dena to handle the situation was done extremely poorly. And it also doesn't help that Tom agrees to go out with her again. And I'm thinking, Tom, season 1, Valerie, did you forget all about that drama? Now you have a girl who's known to be problematic. You saw that firsthand. You want to give her another chance. Not going to lie, Dena fine as hell. I can't, get over that. But at the same time, she has an ugly personality. So the other story arc is we got Bill, who's about to leave to go to Tom's house to get some work done. And then Regina wants to talk with him about her mom. And she wants to ask, so is my mom being here really bothering you that much? And he pretty much says, yeah. Obviously, he's a bit cautious because, she wants to, act all calm and rational and have a conversation, unlike how she interacted with Bill last night, which she went off talking about how there's a wall between them and it's like, we need space and all. Basically acting completely irrational and now trying to act all calm and wondering why Bill is in a rush to get out of the apartment like she doesn't already know. But basically it gets to the point where she seems like she's honestly listened to what he said and, okay, well, fine. You tell her to leave. Wait, what? Yeah, I don't want my mom to leave, so you're going to tell her. So she comes out of the back and she, acting all sweet and nice. Oh, I made you some pound cake, baby. And, thank you so much for letting this old woman come in here to your home and whatnot. Basically, I thought at first, wow, Hilda's acting way sweeter than normal. But then as soon as Bill, says, oh, well, I just wanted to say thank you. I had nothing else to talk about. He leaves. It's revealed that she actually overheard everything Regina and Bill were saying. And it's like, you wanted to kick me out? He's like, yeah, don't worry about that, Mom. You ain't going nowhere. Another reason this episode didn't do it for me. I don't like this at all. No. So Bill arrives at Tom's apartment to work. And, Tom brings up that the housekeeper is coming over again today. Bill reveals the affair. Tom is shocked, and I'm thinking, Tom, don't you know Bill well enough by now to know that he's going to do this kind of shit? And I mean, if I were Tom, I would be mad. Like, hey, look, you had an affair. That's one thing, but what you're not going to do is disrespect my apartment by, cheating on your wife in here. So it's brought up that Shaq McKenzie is the husband. Tom already knows of his criminal record and warns Bill, like, don't do it again. Because next thing you know, you're going to end up in the hospital. And I'm just going to say, I told your ass so when you got some hot lead in your chest. So then he leaves to go to work. Oh, boy. And from there, we actually see Greg apologizing to Dena. But I guess these are the last two parts to talk about in the episode. The first part at Tom's apartment and then at the hospital. So after getting up off the couch from being slapped, she literally says she's going to press charges on Greg because Tom's freaking out like, dude, what the hell did you do? And there's a lot of arguing back and forth going on. Darla knocks on the door because, she claims she heard the screaming, which I believe, but Darla got that creepy vibe going on where she's always like, I saw you come in and all this stuff, because I think in episode 11, Greg's like, wait, were you waiting for me to come? Were you looking out of your door waiting for me to come home from work because I didn't answer my phone all day? Yeah. But in any case, she comes in, and I'm thankful that she actually came in because overall, she gets to the bottom of the situation that, oh wait, Dena says Greg hit her. Then he tries to explain his side of the story. And then she does fess up to the fact that she was the one that was hitting on him first. And then she reveals like, oh, well, do you want to press charges, Greg? Wait, him press charges? He hit me. Well, no, actually, you're the one who started the assault, and on top of that, I could have you arrested for public intoxication. And then she decides to leave after calling everyone freaks, so then she leaves. Then after that, Greg thanks Darla, who then, says, I'm so disappointed in you, after she like shoves him and slaps him in the face. I'm like, what the fuck? What did he do to deserve that? Again, he literally said, I was the victim. But because he put hands on a woman after she had put hands on him first, he's the one who's shamed for being, an abusive man. He was the victim. All right, so after Darla says her thing and leaves, again, I went from being happy she showed up to, wow, now I'm not really crazy about the character again. Tom just goes off about, don't ever put your hands on a woman. Okay. If Tom was just mainly upset due to the fact that, okay, if I remember correctly, I think in season 1 it was revealed that his mom was a victim of domestic violence to his, she got that from his father. And that was one of the reasons why he became a doctor, because as a kid, he wanted to learn how to, patch up his mom whenever she got banged up. That makes sense. So I get the rage. But I think the rage would have been more appropriate had it been focused on the fact that, yo, man, you made a bad move. I get it. She was the one attacking you. You should have just walked away. But Greg tried to do that. He tried multiple times to say, hey, stop hitting me, because he kept backing up and she just kept on going at him. It would have been better, because the one thing I did agree with Tom with is, yo, she could have messed you up, like in terms of his career and whatnot. And both of them, because like I was saying to somebody I was talking with on Instagram, it would have looked bad. Like, let's say if Darla, didn't believe what Greg was saying and she just went on, because look at the scenario. A short black woman, 2 tall, muscular, guys in their apartment. It's not a good look. Because wait, is she drunk? Wow, did y'all give her too much to drink so you can group gang up on her or something? Yeah, there are multiple ways the narrative could have been spun to look bad. But the fact that Tom was completely dismissive of how Greg was the victim here is why I didn't care for. So he basically says, hey, save your sorries to, go to work tomorrow and apologize to Dena and hope she realizes she was the one in the wrong and drunk. Oh boy. So they get to work. Greg is very apologetic. He's scared to death because, as any man should, especially in the midst of when the Me Too movements first started up, one allegation, even if you and a woman have never even met before or in the same area before, that could screw you over. So he apologizes. And before she even says, I'm sorry, she goes on this spiel of, there's no excuse for hitting a woman. And you were completely wrong for what you did. And I had to do this, I had to do that. And it's like, well, I was drunk and I did hit you first. And I could ruin your life, but I'm not. Why are we cheering for this? Or excuse me. Why is she acting like Greg is the one who should be happy that basically I'm holding the I'm holding the detonator to the bomb, which could destroy your entire life, but I'm not going to press the button. There is nothing that Greg should be sorry for. It's more like Greg is in panic. Remember, what was it? Jimmy Fallon? And on this night show, and I believe RuPaul is the name of the person in charge of that the RuPaul drag race thing. It's a big show. I don't watch it, obviously, because I'm struggling to remember the name, and don't know if there are specific pronouns that RuPaul uses, so I'm trying to avoid saying he or she and being wrong for obvious reasons, because it's 2022. But RuPaul, Jimmy Fallon was looking at a magazine cover and said, Oh, RuPaul was like, here you are, a drag queen or something, most famous drag queen or something like that. But it was a viral clip. And then Ru went, drag queen. And you look at Jimmy's face and it looks like all the blood just rushed out of his head because he was so freaked out. Like, oh my God, I said the wrong thing. And now my entire life and career is flashing before my eyes. And then when Ru flipped the script, Ru went, drag queen, I'm the queen of drag. And everybody laughed, and Jimmy like, huh, that's scary as hell. Because we live in a time where even if you're not meaning to harm or insult or offend anyone, if you call someone the wrong thing, then you could potentially be destroyed. Same with the Me Too Time's Up movement. Innocent men, as soon as an accusation gets put out there online, TikTok, Twitter, and it starts trending, people who are like CEOs, people who have brand deals, they have to step down, they lose all this and all that. And even once they come forward with the receipts, hey, this person said I assaulted them in this state on this night at this hotel. I have proof. I wasn't even in the same city as that person. What kind of punishment is dealt? Barely anything to the accuser. But the person being accused get their entire life wrecked. And the reason I'm harping on this, Valerie did the same shit in season 1. A different scenario, but it involved drinking. Both her and Tom, apparently it was the staff of the hospital Christmas party, and I think they went back to Tom's place, if I'm not mistaken, and they had sex. And because Tom, this was kind of like maybe a one and done for him, but it was something Valerie, felt more strongly about, like it meant like they were together, and he didn't reciprocate those feelings. She took it upon herself to go to the head of the staff, who was a woman, and say that, Tom sexually, assaulted or abused her and whatnot. And he almost lost his entire career until Valerie told the truth at a bar because she was pissed off. And I think it was Mike that recorded her on the phone and said, well, hey, I'm a lawyer. I recorded your confession and we're actually going to expose you for lying. Because if I'm not mistaken, Tom was actually temporarily suspended from his job because of Valerie. And then Valerie went to the, the boss, explained that, hey, I lied. And all she got was like a slap on the wrist. And Tom was pissed off about that. Like, whoa, I almost lost my entire career, but now that she has come forward, all she gets is a slap on the wrist. What the hell? So I feel the same way about this, where Dena knew she was in the wrong and was going to weaponize the general public's perception of a woman is always to be believed in the matter of a sexual assault or physical violence case, even when they're not the victims, but they're the ones who initiated the assault and destroy a man's career. So no, her apologizing and whatnot under the guise of, well, I could destroy your entire life, but I'm not. That's fucked up. That really is fucked up. But in any case, let's get to the bottom of it. So as soon as Greg and Dena decide to put the past behind them, Tom shows up, and Greg, gets some paperwork to, work on his next patient and whatnot. And then Tom and Dena have a little chat, and the conversation goes to, well, I know last night got crazy and everything, but I did drink a bit too much. And I think even Greg, kind of said, because I think Dena was like, well, I'm going to a support group for, my drinking and whatnot. And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. I was kidding, right? And even though, at that point, he's like, you know what? Forget I said anything. I'm about to bounce. So, yeah, she admits to her own, drinking problem, which Greg was like, wait, do you think it's rude about it? It wasn't like he was being intrusive or nosy. I mean, being a doctor, it makes sense. He will be asked those questions like, hey, is there a reason you might be doing that or something? But no, she talks to Tom and asks for another chance. And Tom, who usually is smarter than this, decides to say we'll go out again, but hey, no drinking this time. Tom, no, All right, and that's pretty much it. So as you can tell, I have a lot of problems with this episode, mainly due with how domestic violence, the double standard of men and women, is completely out of whack. And yeah, I didn't really like this episode. Had a couple moments, mainly like I said, the sandwich shop stuff is like the really only good part I really liked. Everything else was just Regina still tripping. You know, Bill is asking for a murder or getting killed, and that's about it. So yeah, like I said, I know the comment section is probably going to be a little messy on this one, but if you act well, then again, I don't expect these videos to do well anyway, so there we go. I don't know. Hey, if any of the cast is watching, maybe you can give some, feedback on this, like, do you agree? But then again, I don't think Tyler watches my videos, so if you comment or if you DM me and tell me, well, yeah, I think I agree with you on this, let me know. Like, if you feel I'm out of pocket for how I responded to the domestic violence thing, I get it, but in my opinion, I don't think the show did a very good job in handling this storyline. So, thanks so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the episode 13 review.